Part 2. Three teenage girls walked out, all giggling and smiling, but strangely they all looked familiar. As we kept watching, I heard one of the girls call out a name. They were calling for Amy. Then it clicked. Those were our mothers. Guys, those are our mothers, I said as I continued to watch them in amazement. They were all so pretty. They still are, but wow. Yeah, that's definitely our moms, but something isn't adding up, Noelle spoke, as she moved away from the bush slowly. What? Justina asked as she shifted her attention away from our moms and to Noelle. They're all hanging out with each other. Our moms don't even talk in present times. Not to mention that we must have traveled back in time because everything looks so 80s now, Noelle said as she slowly began to follow our moms to where they were going. How did we manage to travel back in time? It literally would be us, Justina spoke. Guys, the library. Maybe that door was hidden for a reason. We all felt dizzy before we landed in the 80s. I think it took us back in time, I said as I began to piece everything together. It makes sense, but it still doesn't answer why our moms hid that they were friends before. I think something happened to them that made them split apart. Noelle frowned, realizing that all of our moms' friendships broke. Let's follow them, I suggested. The girls silently agreed, and we began to sneakily follow them around everywhere they went. They seemed like normal teenage girls. They gossiped, shopped, made googly eyes at boys. They even went to the park just to hang out. They really enjoyed each other's company. They look like the best of friends, so how come they aren't like that in present times? I couldn't help the frown that rested on my face. It soon started to become dark, which meant we would have to make our way back to the library. Come on, guys, let's go. It's 7. And if the library is the only thing that's the same, then we need to head back before it closes, Noelle said, and we all silently walked back to the library. There was definitely something in the air. Something didn't sit right with any of us. It was weird to think that our mothers were just like us when they were younger. It made me wonder if whatever happened to them would happen to us. We sat in the room silently waiting for it to take us back home. I know one thing is for sure. I was definitely going to question my mother when I got home. Chapter 3. Besties again? My eyes jolted open as I shot up. That was crazy. It almost felt like a dream, but I know in my heart that it was real. I looked to my side just as Justina and Noelle jolted up too. That was crazy, Justina said, still trying to adjust to being back. Dude, we literally saw our moms, Noelle said, still trying to process what happened. What are we going to do about our moms? Well, we have to do something, Noelle spoke up again, standing up to stretch. I'm glad you said that because I plan on confronting my mom about it, I said as I stood up to stretch as well. You really think you're just going to tell your mom that we time traveled and she's going to believe it? Not to mention how angry she will be when she finds out about your actual whereabouts. Justina spoke, making me realize that I did in fact lie about my whereabouts. This is important. If I have to get in trouble to figure out why they stopped being friends, then so be it, I spoke before walking out of the room quietly. There were people here, but to our luck, they didn't notice us crawling out of a room, and we blended right in. We looked at our phones and realized it was only a day after we had lied to our moms and snuck into the library. I guess time stands still when you time travel. As we arrived at my house, I noticed it was back to regular color, and I sighed in relief. The yellow was definitely not it. Moment of truth, girls, I said as I opened the door. To our surprise, all of our mothers were sat at the dining table as if they were waiting for us to come home, and boy, they did not look happy. Uh-oh, Justina said as she slowly moved behind me to hide. Yeah, uh-oh, Giselle, Justina's mom said, glaring at her daughter. Mom, we can explain, Noelle tried to say, but her mom, Janet, cut her off by putting her hands up. When I got a call from Janet asking if Noelle was okay, I pieced together that you girls lied and we figured it out. My mom speaks as she stares me down. What do you girls have to say for yourself? She speaks up again. The girls and I looked at each other and nodded, silently telling each other that now would probably be the best time to bring up the fact that they were keeping a secret too. Why didn't you tell us you guys all used to be best friends? I asked, now crossing my arms across my chest. I silently gave myself a pat on the back for taking the attention off of us. Our mothers looked shocked and at a loss for words. How did you? Giselle tried to ask, but Justina cut her off. You aren't going to believe us, but we went back in time and we saw the younger teen versions of you guys, and you all seemed so close, like us. Justina spoke, pointing to us when she mentioned how close they were. They all twitched when Justina mentioned the fact that we time traveled last night. Then it suddenly clicked to me that they knew about the time travel room in the library. You guys knew about the time travel, I shouted as I pointed at them, proud that I had figured it out so quickly. When they didn't answer me, I knew I was right, but I was so confused. I still didn't know why they stopped being friends. They did crazy cool things too, just like us. I was super confused. They seemed to love each other and loved each other's company, so why did they give that all up? They all looked at each other and sighed. They knew we weren't going to give up on this so easily. They looked at each other once more before they finally gave in and told us why they stopped being friends. Pull up a chair, girls, my mom spoke. We all got comfortable and they began to tell us everything that happened from beginning to end. They explained about how they too decided they wanted to spend a night in the library. It was there when they saw a small room and hid. They time traveled and thought it was fun, so they kept going and going. They would think of places in their head to go and they would just appear there. But something happened that changed everything. They ran into someone and it changed the fabric of time. They didn't think much of it, but they started to slowly lose memory as if they were going to disappear. They needed to figure out how to fix what they changed or they would have disappeared forever. Luckily, they fixed it and returned back home. They remained friends afterwards, but when they all found out that they were about to have us, they decided to end their friendship to protect us from finding out about the library. Mom, you didn't have to sacrifice your friendship for us. I got up and instantly hugged my mom. She was so brave. I don't think I would be the same if that happened to me. I now know that it doesn't matter because you guys already stumbled upon it anyways, my mom spoke, giggling as she held me. Every time I think back to that day, I laugh and I feel grateful that we fixed things because then I wouldn't have had you, Giselle said as she looked at Justina. I'm glad that we were able to have you girls and experience moments with you. We were just afraid that if you made the same mistake as us, you wouldn't know how to fix it, Janet said as she played with Noel's hair. We promised to never go back to that room, Mom. I don't feel like accidentally disappearing anyway, I giggled as the girls and I all agreed. Yeah, Noel said. I second that, Justina said, as we all agreed. No more library, and this time, we were telling the truth. I have now since learned my lesson on lying. The consequences are definitely not it. We all decided to stay at my house, including our moms, and watch a marathon of movies. I was so grateful that everything worked out in the end. Our mothers were friends again, and everything felt so normal. So, Mom, why was our house yellow in the 80s? I questioned her. As I said that, everyone began to laugh and crack jokes about how ugly this house was back then. And I never felt more at home. The end.